So speaking of, we're getting into code a little bit here. I want to talk about a big thing that's happening these days, which is the actual code editor that you use to write code. So for the longest time, way back, it was Sublime Text I used to use, I think. And then after that, I moved to VS Code, Visual Studio Code, which is a Microsoft product.
There were ones in between. I used Atom for a while. I used Notepad++ for a while.
I used Notepad++ also.
Yeah, and then from that, I moved to Visual Studio Code. And I am currently, I don't like to pay for things. Amanda's super cheap, but I am currently paying for GitHub Copilot with Visual Studio Code.
I've been paying for Copilot as well for about 2 months or 3 months now.
I bit the bullet and paid for the year because it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, you know what? I might switch to the year one because I can see that I'm going to continue to use it, but I'm not going to switch to the year until I make that decision about Cursor. I'm interested, but the cost of switching, and it's not financial cost, it's the time cost that I'm concerned about. Mike, so let's hear about your journey.
Cursor is big news right now. Mike, do share.
Right. Okay, so VS Code is usually the industry standard pretty much these days. It's a very great editor that people use, and they've implemented GitHub Copilot because Microsoft owns the whole thing. And it lets you do AI stuff in there, and it can help you write code and this and that. And it was great. I was using that too. And then the big news, the new thing everyone's talking about was an app called Cursor, which was a forked version of VS Code. Someone forked it, made a copy sort of thing, which you're allowed to do. And then they implemented AI directly into it. So you don't have to subscribe to GitHub Copilot specifically. And it gave you all these advantages, like Copilot lets you use, there's
4 different ones. I was looking at it yesterday. 4 different.
That's because they changed though. Initially, there was one AI model that you were allowed to use, and it was a GitHub, the ChatGPT one that they use. I can't remember which one it was. And then Cursor came out and it lets you switch between Claude and all these different AIs that you might prefer to use.
I was using Claude yesterday.
Yeah. So, and then anyway, this is why I switched to Cursor, and I just thought it was a better experience. And that's what I'm using now. And then I see you guys are funny. You guys are talking about your subscriptions. When I signed up for it, I was told if you sign up for a year, I think you save like $50. It was quite a lot of savings. And I was like, I don't know, because I'm not sure I'm committing to this yet. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the next day GitHub put out they did their conference or something, and basically announced that they're going to incorporate everything that Cursor was already doing into Copilot. So like they're trying to one up each other, So obviously that's why they do these year things, like sign up with us, so you don't leave, that kind of thing.
Well, I signed up for the year with Copilot because I had not heard of Cursor. Like this was like a few months ago now. And I was and again, everyone uses Visual Studio Code. Everyone's talking about Copilot. If it's going to save me some money, fine, I'll pay for the year. And then like literally 2 months later, everything is about Cursor. So now I am kind of kicking myself in the ass. But now, Mike, that you've said that, tell them what you heard on the Syntax FM podcast.
Yeah, so that's where I get a lot of my news from podcasts. And Wes Boss and damn it, I always forget the other guy's name. What's his name? Steve?
Chris Ferdinandi?
No, the other co-host of the show.
Oh, Wes Boss and the dude's from Colorado. I can't remember his name.
Anyway,
I'll find it. Anyway,
Scott.
So you were saying.
I was listening to there you go. I was listening to that podcast, and they were talking about Cursor and everything else. And they have both switched, and they went to that conference, and they talked about all kinds of features that are being built in. And it's kind of like we're in a situation where it's a good position to be in as a consumer like us. We can kind of just wait and see who wins, you know what I mean? Or bounce back and forth between them.